Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golden Astrologer Podcast. This is Deb McBride, and I am with you recording this on Sunday, June 22nd in the year 2025 from rainy, overcast, but still beautiful Escazú, Costa Rica. And we have a lot going on astrologically, but I'm going to cut to the chase, and I'm going to talk about the two most important things that I feel are going on this week, which are in a couple days, and then I'm going to circle back to what's going on right now, okay? Because all the things that are going on right now center around the things that are going to happen midweek, okay? So, the most important thing is that Jupiter, that is now in the sign of Cancer, where it is exalted, is going to meet with the sun and the moon on Wednesday. So we're having a new moon. There's not an eclipse. It's just a new moon, which is new energy, new motivation, new expansion. It's all good. This is all good because Jupiter is the planet of abundance and the planet of expansion and the planet of opportunities and optimism and a really good experience in the world with the new moon. Okay? Now, Jupiter is going to give that new moon a boost. So every month we have a new moon and we have a full moon, and sometimes once in a while there's two new moons or two full moons. It doesn't happen very often, and that's the term once in a blue moon. That's the full moon when it happens twice in a month. But what we're getting this on Wednesday, the 25th of June, and it's at 4 degrees of Cancer. So this is a big boost of energy, and it's a lot of energy. And whenever Jupiter is involved in something, it makes things bigger. So for the most part, this is a positive aspect. Now, we're going to get into where else it's connected in a few minutes. But let's just focus right now on the fact that Jupiter and the sun and the moon are coming together. Now, the other big important thing is that on Tuesday, the 24th, there's going to be the exact conjunction of sun and Jupiter at 11:17 a.m. Eastern Time. And so they're coming together, and then what we're looking at is we're moving into the new moon period where that's still the dark of the moon, but then the moon comes in on Wednesday, and poof, there's both planets aligned together with Jupiter. And so while the sun and Jupiter are meeting on Tuesday, which they only do once a year, okay, sun and Jupiter only meet once a year, but this time they are with the moon the next day. So it's all one big thing. It's not, the moon's meeting with Jupiter as it does every month, and the sun once a year. They're coming together. So it's powerful. This is really powerful. And so at 5:33 a.m. on Wednesday the 25th, the moon is going to meet with Jupiter. And then at about an hour later, almost exactly an hour later, 6:32 a.m., the moon meets with the sun. And so right there is that new moon with Jupiter. This is very rare because this is an exact aspect. And it's not, Jupiter is hovering around the new moon, or the new moon is sort of hovering nearby Jupiter, or, Jupiter's going to grace us in the configuration of the new moon or the full moon. This is, boom, right head on. And so it is important to set intentions for this new moon. It's one of the biggest new moons of the year, okay? So, there's eclipses and things, and they're going to be new moons, but this new moon with Jupiter is one of the biggest new moons of the year, and this is your chance to push it forward in your life. Where is Cancer, the beginning of Cancer, 4 degrees Cancer in your astrological chart? Where does that land for you? For me, for example, it's close to my north node. And it's not exactly on my north node, but it's close enough to my north node. So for me, it's about fulfillment. For me, it's about, connecting with a desire to progress my life forward, etc. Where does it land on your Venus? Does it land on your midheaven? Does it land on your sun? Where is this showing up in your astrological chart? Does this show up in the 4th house, the 8th house, the 9th house? Where does this land? Because that's the arena that Jupiter and the sun are going to play out. Okay? And it's Jupiter, the sun, and the moon. And so this is important to focus on that. What are your intentions? Set your intentions with where the alignment is with the Jupiter and the new moon. So say, for example, this is in your 10th house. If you have the new moon falling in your 10th house and Jupiter's with it, well, hey, this means that Jupiter is spending some time in your vocation house, your reputation house. What's going on there? Are you getting a promotion? Are you choosing a new vocation? Is this something very powerful for you to align with right now in your career? And I don't mean your everyday job, that's your 6th house. I'm talking about your vocation, your wish to do something bigger. But anywhere Jupiter falls with this new moon, this is where you want to take advantage of the energy. It's one of those moments when we want to take advantage of the energy and really push it, because Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. So this isn't just, oh yay, Jupiter's with the new moon. This is exalted in a way that is giving us that extra energy to move forward. Okay? So whatever is an area of your life that Jupiter is falling in with the new moon is the time to sit down with yourself, and really between now and Tuesday, Wednesday, sit down with yourself and figure out what's next. What do you want? Where is this going to highlight your life? Where is this going to give you an opening? Because Jupiter opens things up. It opens up opportunities. What's so important about this for you? Like where is this like opening the door for you? What could this potentially mean for you going forward in the future? So we're like really lighting the match here. We want it to, and Jupiter's a fiery planet even though it's in a water sign right now, but we want to get that fire moving. So where can you light that match? And it's important to really work with yourself on this. Just don't go, oh, hey, we're going to, have a nice dinner party. Well, that's very nice to do with Jupiter at the new moon, but I want you to really make yourself a big wish. And remember last week I said a big dream. So what is that dream? What is the vision? Where are you in your life right now that you have been like chomping at the bit to get forward? Okay? So it may be, you might say, well, this is in my 4th house. What does that mean for me? It's not my 10th house. It's not my 6th house. It's not my 1st house. It's not my, travel house. It's, which all the other ones are career and work and everything else and presenting yourself to the world. It's your 4th house, maybe. And that's like, well, what is it that you want to sort out at home? Maybe it's in your domestic situation with your partner. Maybe it's you want to buy a new home. Maybe it's that you want to take time to find a second home, another place that you can call home, or you're ready to move on to another city or a bigger home. Jupiter's bigness. Think about that. But domestic situation doesn't have to be the physical house. It could be what's going on in your house and what you want in your house. Maybe you and your partner are moving in together. It could be that. But it's an important aspect, and it's also a chance for healing something. Sun is always healing. Sun Jupiter is always healing. So it is an important time for the connection to where we want to expand in our lives. So this is really good. This is great, and this is something that we have to look forward to this week. Okay. Now, don't go and get big-headed, egotistical. It's Cancer, right? It's not a big, giant, Sagittarius thing. It's not like a big, highfalutin thing. It's still the sign of Cancer. Stay emotional. Stay connected to your feelings with this. And go deep with what do I feel I want to expand right now? Where are my feelings in all of this? How do I feel? And it is a very interesting dynamic. As I said, I'm going to start to talk about the other dynamics of this because, okay, so it's great. Sun, Jupiter, Sun, Moon, Jupiter, perfect, wonderful. But aspects don't happen in a vacuum. And in this particular place, there's a lot going on in the sky that is connecting this fabulous Sun, Jupiter, Sun, Moon, Jupiter, New Moon, Jupiter, with the other planets. So let's start with where we are right now. Where we are right now is that the sun has been squaring Saturn. So the sun is now in Cancer. As we know, it's been the solstice. And the sun is now squaring Saturn. And it was 2:36 p.m. today in the Eastern time zone. And so that's one situation right there. So the sun is not just going to, hey, meet with Jupiter. It is squaring Saturn. And I talked about this last week as well. Saturn is restrictive. Saturn is limitation. Saturn is things we'd rather avoid, because they're responsibilities and duties. So when the sun squares Saturn, lots of things can happen. One is we're expanding as that sun reaches Jupiter, and we reach a bit of a roadblock, an obstacle, something that we hadn't thought of that we really do need to consider. It could be that the limitations in our world are limiting that expression of the sun Jupiter. It could be that you want to expand and do something next. I want to do something big, but I don't have the money to do it yet. I need an investor. I need a little more money, etc. Maybe you want to do that, but it's just not happening. Okay, so we work with our limitations and the structure in which that's around us, and Jupiter's helping us to maybe expand that structure a little bit. Then there's tomorrow when the sun squares Neptune. So remember, Saturn and Neptune are very close to each other in Aries. And 4:29 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning, the sun is going to square Neptune. And so again, what are we running up against? Is our vision faulty? Is our vision not possible? Is our vision expansive beyond the limitations of Saturn? Because it comes after the square to Saturn. So the sun is enlightening us, because it always does, to what is our connection to this expansion that's coming up this week. What are the limitations? Where are we held back? Where maybe is our dream not big enough? Or where do we need to stretch ourselves beyond our limitations to reach our goals and dreams? So we're being shown things now, today and tomorrow, before the sun meets Jupiter, that, first of all, the sun is in Cancer, Saturn and Neptune are in Aries. So they're not in the alignment with Jupiter. We had Jupiter with them last week. But they're not the sun is like going to line up right next to sit with Jupiter. It's squaring those other two planets, Saturn and Neptune. So they're in another section, right? So they are challenging us. It's not all of it at the same time in the same place. They are challenging us to think beyond our limitations, to push beyond our limitations. If I could only do this, how would you finish that sentence? If I could only, then I'm going to feel better, and I'm going to really feel like I'm expanding. We're asked to believe in ourselves, Neptune, Jupiter. We're being asked to go beyond the limitations of what we can, like our conscious mind or what people tell us, and go up and above and beyond that to stretch ourselves to get to the next level of what we want in our lives. We don't go to the next level and get to what we want and reach our goals and our expansion and our becoming. We don't get to that by staying in the same mind, in the same place. We have to go beyond the mind we have, the conscious mind now, and the limitations of that. You're only as expansive as you can imagine. Start to feel, and the sign of Cancer wants us to feel. Start to feel what is beyond the limitations of your mind. Start to feel what you can go to next. What does that feel like? Okay, Neptune and Jupiter are going to help us feel it. Saturn's going to make us recognize the limitations. Saturn's going to say, well, I don't think I can do this because blah, blah, blah. And so we can adjust that vision with Jupiter and Neptune. They're going to give us an expansive notion of beyond that. We know what the limit is. How do you go beyond it? Okay, so this is what we want to start looking at, okay, for this week ahead. So we're going to watch the stages of this Sun square Saturn. I did, like, for example, today I did my meditation, right? I always meditate every day. But it took me, to get myself in the frame of mind for that. it took 3 times. So I sat down with myself and I started to meditate. This isn't right. Start again. This isn't right. Then it was raining. I couldn't hear the meditation. So then I had to stop again, get my earphones, put them in my computer, and sit down with myself and be able to listen to the meditation. And then I had to start it again. And it really took, okay, I could be limited here and say, oh, I'm not going to do this today. But no. I can't do that. I have to, I'm interested in expanding my mind too. So I've got to stick with my commitment, Saturn. But when there's obstacles and my mind is in the way and my mind is finding all the obstacles, I just got to blow past them and get into the groove of it. Feel it. That's what we have to do here. So this is big. Now, the other thing is that there is a planetary picture going on. These are the very obvious aspects. There's other stuff happening that is not as obvious. And one of them is Mars. Mars is now in Virgo. And I told you the other day that Mars would be going into Virgo. It did on Tuesday. And that was like a big sigh of relief after all these months between Leo and Cancer and a really long time in Leo, even in the section of time that it was in Cancer for all those months at the beginning of the year. And then it went back into Leo, but it was still really slow. So it's finally reached beyond all of that, and it's no longer squaring Uranus, which was really irritating last weekend, and now it's in Virgo. But when Mars is in Virgo, it's talking to Jupiter in Cancer very nicely in a sextile, and it is in inconjunct with Pluto, because everything's at 3 degrees. Everything is moving in between 2 and 3 degrees. So this is why we're here. Mars is at 3 degrees of Virgo. Pluto is at 3 degrees of Aquarius. And Jupiter is 2 degrees, 59 minutes of longitude. And it's going to turn into 3 in a little while, 3 degrees. So that means it's going to 3. So everything is, so Mars, Pluto, Jupiter are in a dynamic. Okay? So this isn't all sunny Jupiter, Jupiter in the sun and all that stuff. Yes, that's good. That's coming up this week. But right now, as I'm talking to you, we've got Mars making it inconjunct, which is a needling aspect to Pluto. And that can be really intense and uncomfortable and a bit warlike, shall we say. Okay, so we know what's going on in the news. And so Jupiter just increases the bigness of everything. And that Mars and Jupiter are talking to each other in a sextile. And Mars, and that's a smooth aspect, and Mars is needling Pluto, which is very intense. And then Jupiter is going to make the inconjunct to Pluto in the wee hours of Tuesday morning, late tomorrow night. This is a planetary picture known as a yod. And so Jupiter and Mars are chatting nicely, but Jupiter and Mars are also in an intense relationship, a needling relationship with Pluto. So Pluto is at the apex of the yod. This is why things are happening the way they are right now in the world. Things are not obviously all systems happily moving along with a new moon with Jupiter. That's going to happen later in the week. But right now, things are really intense between Mars, the planet of war, and Pluto, the planet of, transformation, destruction, rebuilding, renaissance. And then there's Jupiter, which just makes everything grander and bigger. So, yeah, Jupiter's a good planet. We love Jupiter. We love the abundance of it. We love the expansion of it. We love all those feelings of it. But at the same time, it is not something that there's dark of Jupiter, there's overindulgence, there's bigness, there's too much. And when it gets involved with Mars and Pluto, it can really enhance things in a way that is uncomfortable. Yods are not comfortable aspects. They are triggering aspects. And a yod is what they call a finger of God. So it looks like some sort of triangle, but it's more like a Y, and like the shape of a Y. And it is something that is, uncomfortable. let's just put it that way. It's uncomfortable. And I have yods in my chart. Everybody has yods in their chart. You can get a trigger to your yod if you've got a natal yod in your chart. Something will come along, even the moon, once a month or so, or a couple times a month, and it'll trigger the yod. Well, that is what's going on here, that things are getting triggered. Now, by the time we get to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we aren't going to be having Mars in that same relationship anymore. Mars is going to be moving out of the picture. So this is good news because Mars heats things up, Mars moves things along. And by the time we get to like Wednesday, Mars is going to be moving away from that. Jupiter and Pluto will still stay in conjunct. And when we have that new moon on Wednesday at 6:32 a.m. Eastern Time, that's at 4 degrees. So that's moving out of the realm of the yod with Pluto and Mars. And so it'll still be in this relationship where the moon is going to come in, trigger Pluto at 5:05 a.m. Eastern Time, and then later it'll come out of that by sextiling Mars. So this new moon is going to trigger it a bit, but things are already moving out of what we call orb, the exactitude, right? So moon's going to come in and touch everybody and then leave. So life goes on for us. And we still need to keep our eye on our own goals, our own personal lives, what we wish for, what we want to manifest, how we want to open the door to something right now that's expansive and new. And we still need to keep on track of that, right? Despite this other configuration that is hanging in the air. Pluto is a collective planet. Pluto is not always personal. It's personal when it's touching one of our personal planets. Like, wow, that's pretty darn personal. But the experience of Pluto in a configuration like this, it does bring in themes of the collective unconscious and what's going on in the world. Is bigger stories. So really, this is a very mixed situation because we have all this good stuff happening. We have the sun and the moon meeting with Jupiter. We have sun and Jupiter. And so maybe there's good resolutions in all the traumas that are going on in the bigger picture, but maybe there will be something that comes out of this that is positive. And that's the way we have to hope that these things are going to get cleared up. But for you, for me, we've got to stay focused on our life, and there is a tomorrow, and we've got to keep getting up to tomorrow and working on what we have as goals and as we are setting our intentions for the future and for this week. Also this week, Mercury is going into Leo. So Mercury is on Thursday going to go into the sign of Leo. It's been in Cancer for a few weeks, and it's 3:09 p.m. on Thursday the 26th. Mercury will go into Leo. And that's good. Mercury is lively in Leo. It's creative. It's got creative thoughts and ideas. And it is going to oppose Pluto, though. So once something goes into Leo now, and now we're going to start getting into those months of June and July and August, where planets go through the sign of Leo. And when they go through the sign of Leo, they're going to oppose Pluto. So anything, when the sun goes there in July, when we've got Mercury there now, when we get Venus there eventually in these next months, they're all going to oppose Pluto. And now Pluto's in Aquarius. Now we have a different dynamic. So, yeah, Mercury, Pluto, lots of big ideas, lots of thoughts, lots of analysis because Pluto's in Aquarius, and how we can come up with maybe a big idea or a transformative idea, or how maybe some personal development work we're doing is transforming our mind on a certain level. So this is important to pay attention to because you could change beliefs under these aspects. You could open your mind to something completely new. You could go to a deeper level of mind. You can work with your old thought patterns and clear them out. Like I said, old beliefs getting cleared out because Pluto wants to take out the old and bring in the new. And so this is an important aspect. We look to these oppositions with Pluto throughout the year to see how we can use this energy wisely. Mercury is also going to be pretty busy since it enters the beginning of Leo. Naturally, it's going to talk to the planets in Aries because they are both in fire, and Mercury will be making trines to Saturn and Neptune as it gets through the beginning stages of Leo. So it's going to trine Saturn on Friday the 27th, and then trine Neptune on Saturday the 28th. Now, what's interesting is the moon will have it. Moon obviously goes into Cancer. It's been going to be going into Cancer and making that nice new moon. But then after Cancer, it obviously goes into Leo. And the moon will be going into Leo 2:05 a.m. Eastern Time on Friday the 27th. Now, that means it's catching up with Mercury, and an hour later, Mercury and the moon are going to conjunct. And that means that Mercury and the moon are going to be doing the same dynamic relationships with Saturn and Neptune, and then they're going to be, the moon will oppose Pluto a few days before Mercury does because the moon's faster, but they are making these same relationships, which is going to be very interesting. So our minds are going to be very active and receptive to new information at the end of the week, the 27th, the 28th, the 29th. And so I highly recommend that you expand your mind during this time. You do some mind expanding emotional work. You do some mind expanding creative work. You do some thoughtful personal development. And actually, interestingly enough, next weekend, Friday the 27th, Saturday the 28th, and Sunday the 29th, are going to be, it's going to be a weekend where Dr. Joe Dispenza streams his film for free, Source It's Within You, like he did last year. And we're going to be able to watch it again if you didn't see it last year, or if you haven't seen it since I think they streamed it one more time. But it's available, so look it up, Source It's Within You. And if you follow Dr. Joe on any of social media, they'll be announcing it there. They have been announcing it there, and I got emails about it because I'm on the mailing list. But that's a perfect thing to watch next weekend when all of this Mercury and moon stuff is happening, to expand our life, expand our minds. And that's really a good film to take in higher level information and see what we're capable of, what our mind is capable of. So I really recommend watching. I'm going to watch it again because you always see new things when you watch something a second time. So I highly recommend that as something you want to tune into. And we're in an intense couple of days here, and my feeling is that the Sun Jupiter is going to open some new doors for us. So despite a lot of the tensions and the yacht in the sky right now that's causing a lot of issues, this is all going to channel into something else as we get into the week and as we get past like tomorrow night and early Tuesday. So this is still something really positive for us to focus our energies on, and we just have to, we're all personally getting this as well. Like I said, Pluto is a planet of the collective unconscious, but it still pertains to us in our world. So this is something really important for us to be aware of and to be paying attention to as we, move forward into our week. You want to look at not just where that new moon is falling. Of course you want to look at that, like I said, but you want to look at where Mars is in Virgo for you and Pluto is in Aquarius. So the three legs of this yod are Jupiter in Cancer, Sun Jupiter in Cancer, okay? And then the Mars in Virgo, and then the Pluto in Aquarius. So that configuration is, getting all the action right now. And so that's a lot of the central action. So look at your chart if you know it. And if you don't know it, well then come see Deb. Come see me and say, hey, where is this all happening for me right now and what does it mean? And I would say that, this is an interesting dynamic to look at right now. And when we get to the end of this week, hindsight's always 20/20, and we're going to get to see a little more of how this played out for each of us individually, aside from the world stage. So look at that and come see me if you need. You go to my website, thegoldenastrologer.com. You click book online. It will take you right to my calendar, and you can put yourself in the schedule. And that's for an astrology session. You can also come for other reasons, like you just need a good dose of that soothing, wonderful Lemurian Reiki that also can clear obstacles, break contracts, and do a whole lot of emotional housekeeping and spiritual housekeeping, energy housekeeping for you. It isn't just some like very lovely, I'm going to lie back. There's like, okay, we set some intentions there too, and I can do some, disconnecting of vows, cutting cords, that kind of stuff. That's what we also do with that Reiki. So it's very powerful. And of course, if you would like something longer term with me, you can do the expansion mentoring option, which is 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months. And you can talk to me about that. You can connect with me on email and ask me more about it. That would be info@thegoldenastrologer.com or deb@debmcbride.com. And then there is, of course, Instagram, where I am the Golden Astrologer. So you can book a session through there too. But, I'll be posting later that my podcast is up, and it's a place to sort of keep up with the day-to-day. Thank you so much for listening. Have an amazing, beautiful week. Make that intention, set that intention, reach out to me if you need to. We've got this big aspect this week, and it's really extraordinary. And I recommend you use this energy wisely and for some expansion in your life. So gratitude and blessings to everyone for listening. And I will see you on the internet this week. Have a beautiful week.